Howdy folks, Sapper here, aka Sean, and welcome to Duel of Ages, the event horizon. So as I talked about last time, or as I ended the last video, I mentioned how I would have the onboard character and then the person that is going to be playing the character in the game. So we've got Pete the Cheat, who is going to be playing Mr. Catskill in the event horizon. So you can kind of take a look at the cards. So you got a picture of Pete the Cheat, and then you've got Mr. Catskill, and you've got all of his stats over on the side, and then you've got some text down here at the bottom. So Mr. Catskill is a vigilante. And so basically his special ability is kind of as his allies, the people in his team, get killed, he gets more powerful. So he gets +1 to hit, +1 to damage, and +1 to power. So he gets better as his friends get killed. And you can see in the bottom corner here, so those are all his stats right there. So let me see, what do we got here? So we've got his speed is 6, his health is 4. So we have the lightning bolt is wits, melee, power, damage, his aiming value, his pointing value, and his throwing value, his react, stealth, armor, and then the last set of stats are strength, intellect, honor, and respect. So you can see on his card that the boxes are black, and then you have one that's blue. So black represents average values, blue represents above average values, and then you're going to have some cards that have red, and those are below average values. So you can see that Mr. Catskill, the vigilante, he's pretty much an average guy. But he is really good with ranged weapons. And then you see these boxes down here on the bottom. It's got that little cannon, so he's really good with heavy weapons. So we want to try to get him a heavy weapon. He starts out with one card, one common card, and unfortunately it was not a ranged weapon. It was these starlit shreds. Let me see if we can get that. There are no such things as Martians. Only a fool would think otherwise, but something left these strange devices in the Arizona desert. So he's got a knife type weapon. Now normally these cards here, you keep them hidden, so it's hidden information until you're ready to use them. And then when you, like say you want to do a melee attack and you have that knife, then you reveal that card and you do the melee attack so your opponent sees it and it stays revealed for the rest of the game. So that's one of the pitfalls with this game, is there's hidden information. But, so that's enough for now. So we have Pete the Cheat, and we got Mr. Catskill, who's a vigilante. So why did Pete the Cheat pick Mr. Catskill? Now the way I did it was I had there are 6 people per team, and I drew I think nine of these cards randomly for each team. So this is the black team. All right, Pete the Cheat is on the black team. So I drew 9 cards, so 3 of them weren't used. So you had a little bit of choice. So this is what was given. So I'm not going to read Pete the Cheat's, all of that. You can read that for yourself. You can just put that on pause if you need to. But you can look at some of the 10 different things about Pete the Cheat. So he's a vacuum cleaner salesman. His nickname is Pete the Cheat. That's why I have it written on the front. He would like to own the Boston Red Sox someday. Unusual fact, I look like William Hurt. So these cards I think are from the 90s. So you have to Google William Hurt. I had to do that to figure out who he was. Pete's pet peeve is any tax and spend politicians. So he doesn't really like politicians. Although he would like to meet Ronald Reagan. And his personal motto is give the customer a little extra. He's most proud of his college degree. His reputation in high school, most likely to walk away from a fight. 3 words that describe him: try hard and outspoken. So based on these things over here is kind of why I picked Mr. Catskill, the vigilante. So Mr. Catskill lives in Washington, D.C. So that kind of lines up with his pet peeve, but it also lines up with the fact that Pete the Cheat would like to meet Ronald Reagan. And a vigilante, right? What do vigilantes do, right? He gives the customer a little extra. Although he was in high school, he was most likely to walk away from a fight. If you read Mr. Catskill's little bio here, he's tired of walking away from fights. So that's kind of why Pete the Cheat chose Mr. Catskill, the vigilante, as his, I guess, what would you say, avatar in the games here. And there is Mr. Catskill's chip that will be placed on the map when we start playing. All right, next up is Fat Matt, and he chose General James Gavin. Now, some of the characters in this game, like this one, are based off of real people from the real world. So General James Gavin was a general in World War II. There we go. So there you go. You got Fat Matt, and he chose General James Gavin, the field general. So there's basically his stats. He's really good with ranged weapons, and he has a very high honor. So, you know, you would expect that from a general, right? So, and then his special ability, that allies within three spaces gain a +1 armor. So basically the aura is 3 hexes. So he gives people around him more armor. So basically they're, he's an inspirational person. But his aura doesn't apply to him. He's good with, he's good with long rifles, and he's good with heavy weapons. So we need to get long rifle or heavy weapon into James Gavin's hand. So let's go to the back. All right, so Fat Matt, occupation, he is an actor. His nickname is Fat Matt. His secret fantasy is to fly. Unusual facts, golf balls don't climb trees. Pet peeve is mold. I guess he must keep his refrigerator very clean. He'd like to meet the real Mickey Mouse. His personal motto, not all toast is crunchy on the inside. He's most proud of his outgoing ability. Reputation in high school, it was fine. It was fine. 3 words that describe me: sweet, confused, and direct. So this is General James Gavin's bio, and this is real stuff there. And based off of Fat Matt's secret fantasy, which was to fly, is why I chose General James Gavin, because he was in the 82nd Airborne. And if you look here, he was known as the jumping general because he would actually paradrop into combat with his troops. So in essence, he was flying, right? So that's why I chose General James Gavin for Fat Matt. Next is Mika, and she chose Venya 8, the android agent. So if you look at the android agent's abilities, so she's got a lot of blue, which is above average, and then she has 1 red, which is honor. So I guess androids aren't very honorable. She's immune to mental abilities, which you would expect that from a robot, and that little symbol right there, the motorcycle, means that she's really good with vehicles. So if we can get a vehicle into her hands, then she will be able to use it much better than everybody else. So we got Mika right here. She looks like she is wanting to say something. All right. So here is Venya 8's bio. And we'll talk about Mika a little bit. So her occupation is a Latin scholar. Her childhood nickname is Mika. Secret fantasy is to have a big career. Unusual fact, she's 5'1", and she has buck teeth. Her pet peeve is sitting in the sun, and she'd like to meet nobody in particular. Personal motto, if you don't like my attitude, tough. That's life. She is most proud of being able to speak 3 languages. Reputation in high school, she had verbal diarrhea, so I guess she really liked to talk a lot. And 3 words that describe me: talkative, opinionated, and wise. So Mika's the only female. She's the only female on the team. So part of the reason that I chose Venya 8 was because she's a female, so she chose a female. And, you know, the fact that she's small, she'd like to meet nobody in particular. I wouldn't think that an android would really want to, they don't care about a lot of stuff, right? They don't really care about meeting people. Androids, you would think, would be able to speak a lot of languages, and Mika says that she can speak 3 languages. She's a Latin scholar. So, you know, main reason that I chose Venya 8 for Mika was because they're both females. So we'll go on to the next person. All right, now we have Sharona Bignose, and he chose Ryan Knight, the investigator. And if you look at their pictures, I mean, Sharona looks very similar to Ryan Knight. So maybe, you know, as his fantasy character, he's kind of always wanted to be an investigator. Maybe he liked the looks of him. Who knows? But there we've got his stats. He's really good with melee, or no, excuse me, not melee. He has high wits. And he has high intellect. So, I mean, I guess you would need that as an investigator. So the investor, Ryan Knight, gains +1 hit against beings and fiends, and he ignores mental abilities, any mental abilities that he wishes. So he could, General James Gavin has a mental ability with the aura, so he could ignore that if he wanted to. Now, obviously he wouldn't, but there are some mental abilities in the game that, you know, might not be beneficial that he would choose to ignore. So Ryan Knight is good with long pistols, and he is also good with revolvers. So we need to get those into his hands if we can find them. And let's see, he started with 1 card. So he looks like a jet ski, basically. So he started with a jet ski. Now, I'll show the map later, not in this video, but there's not a lot of water on the map. So this card might not be so good, but there's things that we can do with this. Even if you get a dud card that you can't use, you can use it for other stuff. So let's flip around and let's see what we've got with Sharona Bignose and who was it? It was Ryan Knight, correct? Yes, Ryan Knight. All right, so Sharona he is a salon manager. His name is Sharona Bignose. His secret fantasy, it begins in the Pacific, mid-October, about sunrise, ... Unusual fact, I can wrap both legs around my neck and sing Love Me Tender. Okay. Pet peeve, he procrastinates. Or, excuse me, he doesn't like procrastination. This guy's a man of action. He'd like to meet Robert Plant. So for those of you who don't know, Robert Plant is the, I want to say he was the lead singer for Led Zeppelin. I'm pretty sure. Personal motto, replace the word problem with the word challenge. Most proud of his father and his never-ending strength. Reputation in high school, art faggot. So it's on the card. These were done in the 90s. Don't sue me. 3 words that describe me: goofy, open, and spooky. So personal motto is kind of what had me pick Ryan Knight, right? Replace the word problem with the word challenge. So he's an investigator, so he's trying to figure out what the problem is and, you know, solve it. So it's not a problem, it's a challenge for this guy. So, and they kind of look alike, so that's the reason that Sharona chose Ryan Knight. Now we have Finn Dog, and he chose York the Foot Soldier. York is another actual person from real life. And you can look at York's stats. He is very good with ranged weapons, and he is also very stealthy. So York was a soldier in World War I, and he was a pretty good shot. So he gains +2 to hit during the fire phase, and he's really good with long rifles. So we need to get a long rifle into his hand if we can. So that's pretty much Sergeant York's bio. But Finn Dog, his occupation is an energy economist. Nickname is Fin Dog. Secret fantasy is to win an Olympic gold in every event. Probably the biathlon would be a good one, right? Because the biathlon uses cross-country skiing and shooting. So that's one of the reasons he picked York, because York is good with the rifle. Unusual fact, he can crack his ankles. I don't know, that's kind of different. All right. Pet peeve, whining, mousy, stuck-up women. I don't think anybody wants stuck-up women or likes them. He'd like to meet Adam Smith, which kind of goes along with him being an energy economist. Personal motto, be on time. Most proud of humor and professional advancement. Reputation in high school. Lousy speller, just a plain nut. And 3 words that describe him, punctual, concise, and humorous. Now if you look over here, from his own diary, this is Corporal York from his own diary. He goes on and talks about how he was in this firefight with a bunch of Germans, and well, you look at some of how he spelled, I had no time, know how to do nothing but watch them there German machine gunners and give them the best I had. Every time I seed a German, I just touched him off. At first I was shooting from a prone position, that is lying down, just like we often shoot at the targets in the shooting matches in the mountains of Tennessee, and it was just about the same distance, but the targets here were bigger. I just couldn't miss a German's head or body at that distance, and I didn't. Besides, it weren't no time to miss no how. So, he's a lousy speller. It's kind of why I picked Sergeant York, or Corporal York. I think he ended up getting promoted to sergeant, but... And he also, the whole Olympic gold medal thing, and being a good shot and winning the biathlon, that's why I picked Sergeant York. So we'll go on to our last person. All right, last but not least, we have Junior, and he chose Frost Dancer, the Graceful Warrior. If you look at Frost Dancer's stats, she's got a lot of really good ones, and of course her ranged ability is pretty bad. It's very below average. Look at her abilities down here. Only one enemy can attack Frost Dancer in a melee phase. The enemy chooses the attacker. So, Frost Dancer is a melee person. So let's see what we got on the back. All right, Junior is a systems analyst. His secret fantasy is to be a fighter pilot. Unusual fact, he was born on Valentine's Day. Pet peeve is photographers. He'd like to meet a famous photographer. I'm not quite sure why he would want to meet a famous photographer if he doesn't like photographers. Maybe he just doesn't like getting his picture taken. Personal motto, live and let live. He's most proud of his job. Reputation in high school is a music lover, and 3 words that describe him as honest, humorous, and curious. There wasn't a lot of choices left for Junior that really fit with the things that he wanted, so I chose Frost Dancer. His pet peeve is photographers. He doesn't like being photographed, so maybe he doesn't like being seen. And if you look at Frost Dancer's bio, basically she is very stealthy. Yep, she has a very high stealth. So she's very stealthy. She snuck in to try to rescue somebody, and didn't want to be seen. And it was said that Frost Dancer had the grace enough to allow her to dance upon the frost without crushing it. So that's kind of dancing on frost, likes music and dancing. She was a warrior. He wants to be a fighter pilot. Frost Dancer can't fly, but I mean, if you could dance upon frost without crushing it, that's pretty close to flying. So there you have it. That's kind of why I chose Frost Dancer for Junior. So that pretty much does it for the black team. The video is getting a little bit long. It's almost at 20 minutes, so I think I will end it here, and I will have another video to show you the white team, and then I will cover the layout of the board, the lay of the land, the arena that they're going to be conducting this Mortal Kombat in, and then give you a little bit more as far as the background story. So anyway, that's it for now. I hope you all have had a great weekend, because it is Sunday night, and I guess everybody's heading back to work, unless you're lucky enough to have a long weekend because of New Year's Eve. So anyway, we'll catch y'all later. Bye.